The first jobs report of the new year was just released. The unemployment rate in December dropped to 3.9%. 199,000 new jobs were added. That's down from 249,000 in November, rather. President Biden said it was the sharpest one-year drop in unemployment in U.S. history, but economists had predicted more than 420,000 new jobs.
Record job creation, record unemployment declines, record increases in the people in the labor force. I would argue the Biden economic plan is working and is getting America back to work, back on its feet.
Meantime, businesses added 199,000 positions last month. The president touted more than 6 million new jobs have been added since 2021. Here now to help us understand these numbers is economist Dr. Mickey Ferry. Thanks so much for being here tonight.
Hello, Rudaba. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well. So when we look at these jobs numbers, right, the unemployment rate hit a new pandemic low, but the U.S. economy added fewer jobs than expected. So break it down for us. Is this latest report good or bad news?
Well, overall, I think the biggest thing I saw is it's well below the expectations. So, I understand Joe Biden getting up there and trying to do his best to explain that he has a certain program and according to his viewpoint, it's looking good. But compared to the consensus economic estimates, we only got about half the jobs we expected for December. So I would say it was below expectations, and I was hoping for a little bit more, frankly, during December.
So explain why we're experiencing inflation. I know we don't have all night, but how did we get here? And I also know you don't have a crystal ball, but when do you think we might get some relief from this inflation?
Well, there's really three things that always contribute to inflation. That's supply, demand, and market power. And on the demand side, that is how much money is out there to be spent and how much are consumers looking to spend money. Over the past 2 years, starting in March 2020, we saw the Fed print just a ton of money, about half as much as we've ever printed over the past 2 years. So that's $4 trillion have been kind of out there, and the way to think about that is people have extra credit that they could spend, businesses have extra credit that they could spend, and more mortgages are being given than maybe otherwise. So there's more demand out there. On the supply side, we've seen supply shortages, and I expect we'll continue to see those as Omicron is just going nuts around the country and around the world. And then market power is just the idea that as certain companies get larger and more concentrated within their industry, they have pricing power. So a large company that really controls a lot of an industry can raise prices. And without that kind of competition, prices will be going up. So I do see, kind of going forward, I don't think all that $4 trillion has been spent, not nearly all of it. So we're going to see continued inflation. I mean, I would think for another year or two, honestly.
Oh, well, that's exciting news. Some of us also have noticed that our paychecks starting in 2022 were a little bit short without warning. What should we know about any new taxes, any new codes going into effect?
That's not my area of expertise, frankly, Rudaba. So I don't feel equipped to comment on the taxes. But what I will say is in this jobs report, we did see on average wages increased about 4.7%. So, with inflation in that kind of 5 to 7% range each month, wages going up 5% on average, as long as wages are going up consistent with inflation for any individual person or company, that individual person or company is going to kind of be keeping in line with inflation.
And I want to revisit the piece of advice that you gave the last time we spoke, and that is to negotiate a raise in 2022 to keep up with inflation. So tell us how to make the case for that to our employers.
A great way to make a case is to think about the top 2 or 3 things that you've really contributed to the company, and write those down and be prepared with a couple quick bullet points. And then also, I mean, it could backfire depending on the relationship with your employer, but a great way to get a raise is to get an offer from another company and then tell your employer, hey, look, I have an offer that's 5-10% higher from another company or maybe even higher, but I would love to stay. I've enjoyed my time working with you for this time period. I feel like I'm a valuable contributor. I have friends at the company, whatever your situation is. and I'd love to stay, but you're going to have to match this offer, or at least give me a little something more.
And we've done a lot of reporting on the Great Resignation, right? All of these people who are leaving their jobs in record numbers. But now that a lot of that government assistance has dried up, where are all these people going?
Some of the government assistance has dried up, but not all of it. So student loans are still on hold, and that's a lot of, the average person with student loans, I think, has about $40,000 in student loans. So if they don't have to pay those loans back, their expenses are much lower than if they did have to pay them back. There's still, some large number of homes that are in forbearance where people don't have to pay their mortgages back. So some of that government assistance in terms of obligations that you may have had to pay back, but you don't currently have to pay back, those are still there. And then people have creative ways of finding ways to reduce expenses. So, if you're the kind of, if you're in the stage of life where you were working, maybe you lost your job and you're not looking for another job, there's always ways to reduce expenses, moving in with the roommate, moving back in with your family, kind of going back to school, or just delaying a certain type of expenses that you might have had to incur if you had a job.
All right. Dr. Mickey Ferry, thank you so much. We appreciate your time as always.
Thank you, and have a great evening.
Thank you. You as well.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.